Hey, we're talking about Mandalorian Season 2, up next on Geek Out SA.
Do not attempt to adjust your YouTube video. We control the stream.
And welcome back to Geek Out SA. It's Friday and we're having fun.
I'm here and I get to be here.
I actually had to change my shirt earlier
Oh, because we could see
because you could see through me.
Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
So welcome everyone. We're talking about Mandalorian Season 2 and all right. We're not doing spoilers on episode 3 because we haven't seen it yet. So
No,
we're not talking about
That's
episode
a ritual
3.
that we all do together.
Yeah.
So Vincent and Stuart and I will do the show. We'll go have some dinner, talk about the show, what was good, what we could work on, and then we come home and we watch The Mandalorian together.
Yeah.
Hang out as friends. So, we're not going to spoil today's episode.
However, we are going to spoil 1 and 2 if you haven't seen it.
And really, if you don't know what happened in 2, you've just been off of social media. Because all over social media, 2 has been everywhere. And I even posted on our Facebook earlier in the week that there was a lot of funny memes coming out because I thought the episode 2 was freaking hilarious. And then I heard that everybody was in an uproar about it.
So let's start with season 1 or episode 1.
Okay. I mean, we can go back to season 1 if you want to do like a recap.
So season 1 was really cool because we get to see Boba Fett's armor.
Oh right. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Because Mando is looking for another Mandalorian, and they gave us enough that we thought maybe it was going to be Boba, right?
Yeah.
Like old Boba.
Yeah.
Right?
So Crispy Critter is watching. He says, "Yo, yo, yo, what's up? I haven't seen 2, so I will pretend I don't hear you."
Yes.
But we're talking about 1 right now.
We're talking about 1 for right now. So yeah, it's good that they... I think that it's good that the writers and the directors, I think, know the Star Wars audience enough.
Right.
It feels like they know us enough to know like what we might be anticipating, and a lot of the times they lead us to believe that they might be giving us what we hope for, but they're not giving it to us yet, right? So we think we're getting to Boba, and we're like, yeah, he's gonna find Boba.
Well, last season, don't we get kind of a hint that there's a Mandalorian at the end of... There's another Mandalorian in Tatooine?
Yeah.
We do get that. Like, isn't it the final episode?
I think so.
That's like that we get it. Barely anything. Something there. And then you're like, oh, is Boba Fett alive?
Right, they're playing on our Boba heartstrings, right? Because there's been all of these conspiracy theories, that Boba made it out, I mean, and he's a Mandalorian, and now that we've seen all the things that the Mandalorian can do in this series, we think, well, that's pretty reasonable that he made it out, right?
Yeah.
He probably did make it out. So that's fine, we'll take Boba.
We still had a jetpack, so...
Like, at any point, we'll take Boba, so it's, like, not a big deal, right?
Yeah, Chris says it was episode 1 was a great Western.
So we were going to get to that, right? So, this is one of the things that Vincent and I talk about all the time, and if y'all saw Alejandro on here with us, and he is doing his Star Wars documentary, this is something that we've talked to him about a lot too, is this connection between Star Wars and Westerns, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a sci-fi Western that we get with Star Wars. It has some of those Western-esque, Wild West type tropes in it, right?
Throughout every saga, I think it kind of had that.
Sometimes you're in the saloon and you've got the showdown kind of, right? And the lawman is out there somewhere, and right. So
talking about a lawman, James Oliphant played a great sheriff. We got that from Chris. So
yes.
So the thing about him, I really liked him from the Santa Clarita Diet.
Yes.
He's the funniest guy ever.
He always has great sarcasm, right? No matter what he does, no matter what role he's in, he exudes this like this California dude, right? But he's like really
But
chill, but then
when we
he's like
first see him, and you're looking at it, and you're like, that's Boba Fett's armor, but that's not Boba Fett because he's so skinny. It doesn't fit him. The armor does not fit him whatsoever.
right, does not fit him correctly, and so you're like, okay, so this is not who I was hoping for, but I like the actor, so let's see where this goes, right?
Right.
Because I know that he can probably bring us a character that we're really gonna enjoy, so let's give him a chance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he delivers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I am not Mike Pence, get away from me. So,
Yeah.
he super delivers on that character.
He was saying, yeah, he has great timing too, the way he talks, and he's got a grizzled good looks.
Right, and it's so believable that he talks Mando into like helping them. It's super believable that that's where this goes, right? Because Oliphant is just good at that kind
Yeah.
of. His characters that he plays is just good at that, right? So you're like, oh, he's definitely going to talk him into some kind of shenanigans, right?
Yeah.
You just know that's getting ready to happen, and so when he does, you're like, nailed it. And that's the way it had to go. Like, it had to happen that way or I would have been disappointed, right? That kind of thing. So you were like, yes, score one for the writers. They did a good job. But the other thing that I thought was interesting,
and we were talking about this earlier, yeah,
was the way that Mando understands the Sand People.
right.
And that we're getting a different look at the Sand People as like a species.
But that also plays into like the Western theme within the thing. It's just like, oh, you have the one guy that understands like the Native American
right, because here's the
language.
indigenous people,
Yeah.
right, that the Sand People are. So we're pulling in, here's the indigenous people that are like wild and, you know, untamed and they're savages or whatever. So we're getting that juxtaposition, right,
Mhm.
of this Wild West world and who these Sand People are. And we've already had, if we've watched the movies, which most of us have, right? We've already had exposure with Sand People. We've already been taught not to like them.
Right.
Right? And then we've already been shown that they do have like a culture and you find out in the prequels, like you were saying, that,
Mhm.
you know, when he says, I killed them all, the women, the children, and you're like, oh, wait, they have women and children? Like, it kind of dawns
Because
on
you don't think of them. You just think of them as the Sand People that are there, like with Luke, like
Right.
and and then it takes you back. You're just like, oh well, they have families and they have family that they love and people that they love, and
Right.
they're not just savages. And it kind of takes you why everybody thinks they are the way they are.
Right, and it's because people are trying to encroach in their area,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trying to take their land and stuff. And if they're like, well, you don't
So
belong
you
here.
get a kind of different thought of like in the pod races in what was it, episode 1, where they're doing the pod races where they're trying to take out the pod racers because they don't want them in their land.
Right, because they're going through their land and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah. So it was nice to see that, and then to see that Mando understands, like, hey, if you posture to them, if you're doing all of these things, this in their culture means something. Like, don't do that, right?
Yeah.
And so he's that barrier between the two cultures.
So Chris says basically cowboys and Indians teaming up. I acknowledge that those are old stereotype terms. I'm just referencing the way they were used to be referenced.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
and that's exactly how it used to be referenced, and now we're seeing it kind of in a more modern way and in a space frontier.
Yeah.
To where it is that human existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's always going to be that human existence. There's going to be these people, and these people want to take over, and these people believe that this belongs to them, and these people that believe that this belongs to them, and there's going to be these clashes, and then we have to come together because there's an outside something.
Well, how we heard about them in the original Star Wars trilogy is they were Sand People.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they referred to them. They didn't refer to them as Tusken Raiders.
Right.
And they didn't really do that until the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of going through and kind of seeing everything that it's evolved through this, because I think this happened. This is after Return of the Jedi.
Mhm.
Uh, is where we are in the kind of like timeline.
Okay. And then one of the things that I love about The Mandalorian, and this has got to be because of Favreau, is it's like Thor Ragnarok, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have this great story, and then you have this great comedy. Everything in me is like, I need Mando to be eaten by this worm and to blow his way out of the inside. You just need to give it to me. That's what I need. And do they deliver it? Yes, they do. They delivered it, and I was like, yes, yes, they know exactly what we want.
But here's the thing, that also can explain how um, how Boba got free of the Sarlacc pit.
Right. So
It's kind of, they're like playing on it, just like, whoa,
well, if you see this
if you
Mandalorian,
see this Mandalorian,
and he does this, and you see that.
Jean is watching right now. She says, "I feel like this story is bringing a real humanity to this story that was not really in the movies. I'm not a super nerd, but this storyline really resonates. Care, humanity, silly, hard, and real."
Yeah, and I think some of that is because, originally it's in the 70s, right? And we've progressed kind of as a culture, and I think, our storylines have to progress as well. So here we are in 2020, and so we are more mindful of how we are towards each other, how we act towards each other, how these tropes work in movies, and how we can still tell these stories. Because the stories still happen, there's still these clashes between cultures. I think there's always gonna be, as long as we have separate cultures, which is fine. We're just never gonna understand each other completely.
And they kind of like relate to what's happening right now, where we have so much division here in America, and they show us hope. How if we can work together,
if you can sit down and listen, and
we
respect each other's cultures, because Mando's like, you have to respect that when you get up in his face, this is what this means to him.
Yeah.
Right? And so you have to learn how each other feels, respect that, and come to the table and find some middle ground, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that.
I think it's doing a good job at kind of.
And since Star Trek,
making you think.
Since Star Trek sci-fi has had this ability to tell these stories of what's going on in our world in a way that's watchable for us, and in a way that we can relate to them, but see it as ourselves, but outside of ourselves, because these are fictional species, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to see that. Now, of course, there's human species in there too, with the people from the western town, but still. But then we have to be careful too, I think, to remember that yes, we're reading this stuff into it, and yes, sometimes we're reading this stuff into it because we are in the midst of all of this. But also to be careful to remember that it is a show, and it is for entertainment.
Right.
And so, if there is something that we feel is a misstep, we can't necessarily, crucify the whole show if we feel like they've made some kind of misstep. Maybe tell them that you feel that way, and they can make some changes if they feel like they need to, or whatever. I don't know. You have to see that it's a form of entertainment as well. Yes, we of course reading all of this stuff into it, but
definitely. Chris says, "I like how the Mandos have been shown to have much more humanity compared to the movies, where Mandalorians seem neutral evil, so to speak."
Yeah.
And Gene says, "Yeah, that is so important, Colleen, about listening and respecting."
Yeah, it's interesting to see the Mandalorians as this culture and what it means to be a foundling within their culture, and kind of who you are because you don't have a tribe and you become part of that tribe. So I think there's another story within there that was nice to be told, and maybe we'll see some flashbacks of that as well, since so many of them are gone now, and then maybe moving forward, how they move forward, if Mando can find some others.
And I've kind of got the thought, it's when you're talking about it, it's, they say this is the way, this is the way. And it's kind of like looking at America. It was like, this is the American way.
Right.
And I think I made that correlation. I don't know if anybody else did. Let me know if you did. But I kind of made that.
I feel like it was kind of like their order is like the Jedi order. So in the Jedi order, it's like, may the Force be with you, because they feel this energy. And in the Mandalorian order, it's like, this is the way. Like, this is just like, it's like you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. It's like that. It's like, this is what it is. And like, suck it up, Buttercup. Like, nut up or shut up kind of thing. Like, I'm sorry.
That's not nice to
but
say.
we don't really know whether this Mandalorian, his teachings, or in his little group, are like an extreme of what's been going on.
Right.
Until he finds more of them, and then we might find out that, the whole helmet thing is like, it's not right, or...
Like, you don't have to always have your helmet, you can do that, or whatever,
He could be part of a fringe group, or who knows?
Right, yeah, we don't really know yet. We haven't seen.
I think, the cool thing about the exploring of it is, I mean, when Boba Fett first came around, everybody was like, well, that's a cool guy in armor, and he's just standing there looking cool.
Yeah.
We want to learn more about him. And we didn't.
Yeah.
No, never.
Never.
But he was always the cool guy that we want to know more about that guy.
Yeah, we want to know more about that cool guy that has some kind of backstory.
Gene says, I also think that Mando having to choose the child's life above his own really tells a story of about valuing the greater good above your own, but then the reward is great.
Well, and I think he has that connection to him because he's a foundling, right, himself. And so he feels like, here's this child with no family, and that's who I was, and so he's making this connection. So I think that it says a lot to people about who you find and who you take on as your family, versus, who your family actually is, because a lot of times your actual blood family can let you down. And so there's this new kind of trend in the world to kind of turn your back on blood family and like get your foundling family or whatever. And
Skywalkers.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of been a theme throughout the movies, so it's kind of a thing that they're trying to, I think, continue with as well. I do love, I gotta say, they just find, like, the writers and directors, they just find these, like, sweet spots of things that you want to see, and, like, they give them to you. So, like, that one scene where he trades his backpack for the baby, and you're like, yes, sucker, take it. Take it. And then he does, and then Mando's like,
Yeah.
and you're like, yes.
Yeah.
It's just so much that kind of stuff. Like, throughout every episode, you're just like, yes, make this happen for me, please.
See, because there's a lot of opportunities in a lot of other episodes, which we're talking even in, like, we're watching the Queen's Gambit and how they did that. But there's these opportunities that you kind of say, well, I could see them doing this, and they do it.
Yeah, you're like, these connections would make the story so great. And half of the time you watch these storylines and they don't make the connections. But in The Mandalorian, you're like, please let this thing happen. Please let this. And then it happens and you're like, yes, it happened. Yes, it happens so much. Which is why I don't understand. So if you don't mind, Vince, I'm going to get to episode 2. Because I don't understand the uproar about episode 2. I thought, like, I was kind of wanting that to happen. Like, that makes sense. It's funny. It's funny. And then everybody is, like, so up in arms, and it's genocide and everything.
So kind of explain what you're talking about.
So, okay, here's the... I have to use props. Okay, here's the baby. Look, he's very cute. And we know that he likes to eat amphibians. We've seen him do it, right? So in episode 2, Mando picks up a passenger that's an amphibian lady, and she has a container full of her eggs. And they're the last eggs of her species, and she has to take them to another planet to get them fertilized by her husband, okay? Because apparently they use external fertilization. That's right, children. Sexual reproduction has internal fertilization or external fertilization, and they're using external fertilization. It's actually what I'm teaching my 7th graders right now. So she has a big container with lights on it. Oh my god, a light up container with bobbing, floating things in it. A baby. And the baby goes, oh, this looks fun. And he lifts it up and he goes, oh, that smells like frog. I like frog. And he takes one and he eats it. And he eats it. And he likes it. It's hilarious.
So there was a big uproar about this on the internet.
So everybody's saying it's genocide, which he did not eat all the eggs. He ate a few of them. Let's not lie. He did eat a pretty good amount of them.
So here's the thing. People eat eggs.
People eat eggs all the time.
These eggs weren't fertilized.
They're not fertilized. Are they the last of the species? Yes. Does he know that they're the last of the species?
No.
Does he realize that he's putting a species into extinction? No, he does not. He's a baby. He's a hungry baby that eats amphibians. He's a species. He's a species. He eats certain things. It's what his species eats, okay? Apparently, they eat amphibian-type species, okay? I mean, we've seen Yoda chow down on goodness knows what, okay? So, they're from the same species, which I don't even know what species they are.
It's his own thing.
I know, but have they given a name to his species?
They've never really talked about it.
Not really. I don't think so. So
they've left it as a mystery.
It's a mystery for us.
Yeah.
So this is a species.
Okay? Midichlorians created it.
This is another species. This species is a carnivore. Okay? He's
omnivore, probably.
Are you an omnivore? He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
He's a baby.
He's a baby. He'll eat anything. Okay? He's maybe an omnivore. Okay? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So here comes. This is a primary consumer. So it eats some veggies and stuff, and it hops along, and then the baby eats it. Okay? It's scientifically reasonable to believe that he would eat the eggs, and it was funny as hell. It was funny as hell because Mando's like, "No, baby, no, we don't eat the eggs. No, baby, don't eat the eggs. No, the baby don't eat the eggs. Look at him. He's starving. He was hungry."
So we have Adam from NNA Vlog says, "Hey y'all, gonna make some eggs right now. He was hungry."
I mean, I was cracking up, and we were like telling the TV, I was like, "No, bad baby, don't do that, bad baby." And then she has them in the warm water, and we're like, deviled eggs. Like, we thought it was hilarious. Like, it's funny. Even when he's like, "Oh my god, we've crash landed, and like everything's freezing. Let me go see if I can save the eggs." And the baby's like, it was funny. It's not genocide. They're not real. It's not real. This is like a puppet. It's not real. It's not alive.
Science fiction, guys.
It was CGI. You know? And then did y'all have a problem with he goes into a giant cave full of eggs and he's like, "Jackpot." And we're all like, "Oh, shoot, face huggers. Jesus Christ."
It's funny how you see him walk towards it.
His little legs. He's so little. And did anybody complain that he ate one of the spiders? Oh no, because spiders are evil and gross and everybody hates them, so please.
Yeah. And he didn't eat the egg, he pulled the spider out of the egg.
He's like, "Look at that! That's good." And then he's like, "Oh crap, all of his brothers are mad." I thought that episode was comic genius gold. I cannot believe people were in uproar. And that's what I mean. We need to, okay, that's fine if we see these connections in humanity and things that we can do better. But we have to remember that it's a show, number one. Number two, it's a fictional show about fictional species, but it still follows some of the scientific guidelines and rules. You know, we saw Jar Jar eat a bunch of stuff. he's some kind of fictional character that eats other things too.
Yeah.
Like, as humans, a lot of us eat other animals. Go watch some BBC Earth, and animals here on Earth eat other animals. Like, it's a thing, it happens. And sometimes species go extinct because one species eats the other one.
Yeah. You know why the dodo went extinct?
From eating the eggs.
It was delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was delicious and it was stupid. And so it would go up to other things, and the things would eat it, and the things would eat its eggs, and it didn't even guard its eggs. They were like, what's going on? You want to eat me? Okay, let's go. Like, sometimes your species goes extinct. It happens. It's scientific, and to put our human ideals on this. Now, did Yoda eventually, speaks English or whatever they're speaking, and he speaks to Luke and them.
Yeah, Chris says, yeah, don't forget Order 66. All of them killing all the Jedis.
Yeah. Well, and how many people have we seen Mando kill? How many different species has Mando killed? I mean, he hasn't killed the entire species, but lots of things are dead. Lots of creatures are dead in this so far,
Yeah, and how Anakin murdered a bunch of kids in cold blood.
We can't talk about that still.
But that was how many years ago now?
Oh, yeah, that was a long, long time ago.
It doesn't matter.
If that happened now, people would be...
People die. It
Cancel
happens.
Disney.
Things happen.
Burning my mouse ears.
Like, these are stories. They're stories. There's death and carnage in stories. There's upheaval in stories. There's alcoholism and drug abuse in stories. These are stories.
If you don't like it, turn it off and don't watch anymore.
Yeah, just turn it off and stop watching it. I'm tired of hearing everybody complain about everything. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Yeah.
And then I had heard that the actress that was in season 1 that had like the shaved side of her head, that she's a UFC fighter, and apparently she'd said something, and they were like, oh, her character should never be back allowed on the show. I didn't hear what she said. I haven't researched it enough to know. But it's kind of disappointing. It's just like the actor that was on The Flash that no longer gets to have his job over something that he said like 7 years ago.
Right.
At some point, we have to let people make a mistake. If they're willing to accept the mistake and apologize for the mistake and move forward for the mistake, then they should get to keep their jobs. Like, what you do in your personal life and what you say is a stupid idiot, you should be able to come back from and be able to keep your job. And people should be able to act like acting is pretending to be somebody else. So I just don't...
I mean, we all don't talk the same way that we talked, like, when we were in our 20s.
Right, exactly. Like, your ideals and everything have changed, and you become better as you get older. And as we meet more people and learn more about other cultures, and we have more exposure to the world, and we learn more about who we are and what we believe is right and wrong,
See, that's a big thing of, like, traveling. We've done a lot of traveling, especially outside of the United States. And they say people that do that kind of observe other cultures and kind of they're able to value them more, because if you don't see it, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, and I think when I was
you can't appreciate it.
When I was growing up, I was very naive, and my family led me to believe more in this melting pot idea of the United States, and that was who we were, and so I didn't realize, and I guess because my grandpa was military, and even though he was a spy in Vietnam, being a spy in Vietnam, he like lived among the Vietnamese people, and he pretended to be a Vietnamese businessman, and he like had friends that were Vietnamese, and so he appreciated their culture. Like, he did his job and what he had to do over there in Vietnam, but he appreciated their culture, and he brought us things back, and like my dad was a school teacher, and so we had all kinds of different kids at our house all the time from different backgrounds and stuff like that. So and that's one of the things I like about this universe of Star Wars and a lot of sci-fi universes is you get, you know, different species and different cultures, and they're coming together, and you know they have a common enemy being the Empire, you know, for a while, and so they can come together and find that commonality.
Yeah.
And you know, so now we have in episode 1, okay, they have this common enemy of this dragon worm, like, and they can come together and they can find a way to work together.
Yeah.
You know, and work things out. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading
Chris
too much into
says
it.
travel broadens the mind, expands consciousness. So yeah, no, I'm a big proponent of travel.
I'm all for travel. If we could travel, we wanted to travel to Galaxy's Edge. Speaking of Mandalorian, we had looked into it for our anniversary, but it looks like there's going to be an uptick in COVID cases and everything, and so we're going to take a little bit of a rain check because it looks like they're starting to kind of close stuff down again a little bit, and I don't want to miss out. Like when I go to Galaxy's Edge, I want to go to Galaxy's Edge. And then I was talking to a friend who went before the whole COVID thing, and I was like, so I can't wear my Jedi outfit, and he's like, yeah, it's really frowned upon because they have all the actors there, and they don't want you to be mistaken for like one of their, you know, Disney actors that's there,
awesome.
Like making the experience. Right? I would totally go and like be taking pictures with all the kids and everything. I want to so wear my outfit. And do you have your? I meant to show the hilt. Do you have? There you go.
Right here.
I forgot mine on the couch. So we just got this added to our outfits. So if you haven't seen us in our outfits, you'll have to come out sometime one of these days when we're all allowed out of our houses and we can go show off our outfits. So we got this from Thistle and Thunder, and it's Ruby Tombstay, who was on our show for Halloween, does leather work as well. So this is a holster for our sabers, and we both got one so that we can wear our sabers around our belts when we wear our outfits, so that our hands can be free to do other stuff. So very nice, very good leather work. So thank you to Ruby Tombstay and Thistle and Thunder.
Really cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. Lots of stuff going on, and so I'm excited to see tonight's episode and see where we go, because we did get a little Boba hint.
We get a little Boba hint. We know that Ahsoka is going to be sometime this season.
Somewhere, yep.
Don't know if it's going to be the next this episode because we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
There's also talk of there being an Ezra Bridger in there.
Nice.
From Rebels, so...
I would take that. Yep.
Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows what all we're going to see and all the connections that are going to be made. But they're doing a really, really solid job making the connections and letting us see more intricacies of these worlds and things. And so I'm really impressed with where they're going with this, and so I hope that people don't kick and scream and rant on Twitter and social media so much.
On Twitter?
Yeah.
No.
Just so much that...
Yeah. Because is Mando going to get his armor back?
I don't know. I just want them not to mess this up. Like,
yeah.
They need to let the writers continue going down the path they're going down, because they're doing a good job.
Really good job.
A really good job, and I just don't want to see it go bye-bye. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So we're gonna see that tonight.
At this point, this season is wrapped up, I would assume, right? They're just releasing it to us slowly but surely. So this season's pretty wrapped up, so we don't have to worry about them ruining this season. I just don't want them to ruin next season.
Well, there's a lot of things that going on behind the scenes with like Pedro Pascal and everything that's happening with that, because he's the star of the show.
He's being a diva.
He is being a diva. He wants to get paid more money, but who doesn't want to get paid more money?
Yeah, but they make a lot of money already. I don't know. I think that's another show. I think that's a whole other show that I could
See,
talk
but
about.
that's why they're making him be in the suit and play it the entire time instead of he mostly just voiced Mando
Mm-hmm.
in the season 1
Yeah.
because being in that armor, it's tough.
Oh yeah, I can imagine having to be in that and do that for all of the scenes and everything. I can imagine how hot it is and how heavy it is and everything. So, I would totally wear it.
Yeah, Chris says we also saw the dark saber at the end of last season. We did see the dark saber.
We did see it at the end of last season.
And
and if we've been keeping up with the cartoons, we've seen some of the history of that too. So.
Does Mando get that?
Yeah. Well, that's going to have to be continuous, I think, for a while. That's going to have to be an epic thing that we get to. So, I
and
just
then
wonder
maybe Ahsoka shows him how to wield it.
Maybe.
I
just wonder what the end game is with the child. I just wonder.
You're never gonna know because once he gives up the child, then nobody's gonna want to watch it.
Right.
It's gonna be a continuing thing. He always gives it an
something happens.
Well, he's trying to get him to his people, but these people are the Jedi. There's no more Jedi.
Right.
No, because
There's Luke.
Well, he's kicking around somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean the Jedi there's no Jedi temple anymore. There's no.
He's just gonna have to keep him around until Rey, and then it's gonna be a really long series.
And then he'll be Yoda size. By then.
No, because his species lives to be like 500 years, right?
Yeah, but eventually he's gonna get bigger.
No, not if you live to be 500 years. It takes
he's
you a long time.
Isn't he like 20 years old or something like that?
Something right now, like ridiculously short life compared to his 500 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like tiny compared to that. So yeah. And where are the Yoda diapers? I just want to know. Does Yoda use a litter box? What goes on with Baby Yoda?
You really want to know?
I do.
They'll show you this episode.
Yeah, well,
since they're giving so much fan service, Colleen, they'll do that just for you.
Adam says he was great in Narcos, and he wants less Helmet and more of him, from what I read.
Yeah,
but he's a Mandalorian.
But too bad. Okay, Ryan Reynolds, get over yourself.
This is the way.
Nobody wants to see your face in Deadpool either. But you know what? He ended up working that out, so we saw his face a lot more than we needed to in Deadpool. But he's kind of hot, so it's alright. Sorry, boys. So yeah, I don't know. It's a really good series. It's totally worth watching. Don't listen to all the hype. It was hilarious. There's no genocide. Several of the eggs make it. And I'm sure we're going to have to continue on because we didn't see the complete drop-off. I saw the most hilarious, now that we've done this, I've got to put out some of these super hilarious memes that I've been seeing going around, and I wanted to put one of them out. One of them is like the frog lady, and she's rating Mando like he's her Uber driver. He gets like no stars, and it's because he crashed like 3 times and got her late and spoiled her eggs and like all this stuff. So I'm going to be putting out some memes and some Baby Yoda eating eggs memes because there's been a lot floating around. So you're going to see that from us a lot on Facebook this following week. So that's where I'll be at. I have surgery next week, so I don't know how loopy I'll be. I have it on Thursday, so I don't know if Friday, if we're going to do the show or not on Friday. So we might not see you next week, and then the following week is Thanksgiving. So, definitely plan not to see us Thanksgiving week. So, but maybe we'll do a Loopy Colleen show. We'll see how that goes.
But related, we have something super secret that we're doing tomorrow. It's related to Star Wars. So, you'll be hearing that in the future of what's going on with that. If you watch the show, you might guess at what it might be, but who knows. But thanks for checking us out. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen, and that's Stuart.
Geek out, SA. That was better. I didn't see any hiccups or anything, or drop. Was there
No,
drop frames?
but you were like shot through a silk stocking. Your camera was all glamour. It worked. It was.